Again, not all bad news. We need the rain. It looks like we're going to be getting it right out through here, over 3 inches possible. And we do have flash flood watches in effect, at least for parts of Kansas, where they had heavy rain yesterday and aren't getting it again today. In the west, along our front, we could see some big downpours, but otherwise doesn't look like much. Once again, a lot of it will evaporate before it gets down to the surface. The big difference here now is that temperatures are dropping into the 30s overnight tonight. And you'll notice here that even tomorrow looks a little bit cooler. Just the desert southwest really up to 100 or 110, and even those 110s really shrink down by Monday. So enjoy the break. The heat will be back before you know it. So while the west cools off a little bit, the east is heating up. We see more widespread 90s, especially by about midweek. The plains start heating up at that time as well, and looks like we're going to see a lot more 90s in the next few days than we've seen in the last few. How much rain will we get? Well, it doesn't look too bad. West, of course, stays dry. Only isolated thunderstorms down here, especially Arizona and New Mexico. Otherwise, not much hopes for any rain to relieve the fire danger. Southeast, typical summer stuff, isolated thunderstorms. More activity will be found along a front that's going to come into the western Great Lakes, it looks like, on Tuesday. Not a very strong front. Going to be heading over and bringing you maybe a chance of a thunderstorm in Cleveland and Buffalo by about Wednesday. And it may stay relatively active actually in the northern plains as well. So overall, not a real busy week ahead. We'll see some thunderstorms here and there. Temperatures will moderate, it looks like, for a while as well. Stay tuned. We're going to keep you up to date on the potential for severe weather. We'll be checking the radars again shortly.
With linen hair, don't get stuck, stick it. Introducing Stick It, the rolling cleaner that dirt sticks to like a super magnet. It cleans lint, feathers, dust, and hair. Run it under water and rinse off dirt like it was never there. Super sticky when dry, super slick when wet. Use it over and over. Easy grip extension handle stretches to clean dusty drapes, dirty corners. Stick It cleans floors fast for just $19.95. Rinse away sugar, sand, and salt in seconds. Will include Stick It handheld roller. Great for countertop spills, party mess. Glitter's gone in a flash. Also receive Stick It clothing cleaner. White rabbit on your black coat, Stick It cleans up in seconds. That's the Stick It 4-roller, handheld roller, and the clothing roller, all for just $19.95. Don't get stuck. Stick It. Stick It. Stick It.
To order Stick It, use your credit card and call 1-800-807-5544 or send check or money order for $19.95 plus $5.95 shipping and handling to Stick It, P.O. Box 20, Department WC, Los Angeles, California.
Get the temperatures and wind conditions of coastal areas near you. Watch the Sea-Doo boating forecast, only on the Weather Channel.
Well, here's a look at our northeast forecast. We'll start out with the current conditions, and really worked out nice again this weekend, where just like last weekend we had the rain, then Saturday and Sunday, much nicer day. Not to say that there weren't any showers at all. A few rain showers, especially into central Maine, curving back towards central New York State. Cold front sort of hung up along the coast still. Southerly winds out toward coastal areas, but behind the front the winds shift around just a bit. Tomorrow, high pressure right over Harrisburg. That is building in. And to tell you, around Harrisburg, it's a very interesting situation with just one 90-degree plus day so far for the summer, and that is just incredible. It has been quite a cool summer across the Northeast. Some of the forecasts that we're looking for around Boston, starting with Monday, lots of sunshine, then partly cloudy conditions, 83, then maybe a slight drop.
Hurricanes. The only information that we had at sea was ships at sea, and at the very beginning of the century we didn't even get radio reports of ships.
That was before satellite pictures, before radar, and before reconnaissance flights. Those are our three greatest tools in forecasting and tracking the giant storms. The first line of defense are the pictures from the weather satellites. We can watch the storms as they develop anywhere in the Atlantic. Once forecasters determine that a storm poses a threat, reconnaissance aircraft are dispatched.
The reconnaissance reports are the only ones that give us the exact intensity of the storm with enough precision.
When the storm gets within 200 miles from shore, forecasters are able to use radar. Radar allows us to track the hurricane on a constant basis, So even though at times one of the forecasting tools might be more useful than others, none of them stands alone.
Each one of these systems each one complements the other, so all these systems need to be used. They all need to be integrated into one picture, one comprehensive picture of the hurricane.
Once hurricanes crash on shore, coastal stations tell us their exact intensity, and study of the wreckage left behind dissolves some of the mysteries of the greatest storms on Earth.
If you live anywhere near the coast, from Brownsville, Texas to Bar Harbor, Maine, you're in hurricane country. You need to get ready for the season. Here are some tips which will help you prepare.
If a major hurricane hits the area where you live, you'll probably suffer some property damage. Instances like these are virtually impossible to avoid, but it's easy to protect your loved ones and valuables. It just takes planning, and you should begin immediately. First, you must decide whether you should stay or evacuate your property. If you live in a solid house far from the coastline, you might consider riding out the storm at home. You should plan on evacuating if you live in a mobile home. If you live in any building which is on the coast or in a low-lying area nearby, your home is likely to be flooded by the storm surge.
Now, people who live in that area must be aware of this phenomenon, and they must know that they have to evacuate. That's all there is to it.
If you're going to evacuate, find the route to the nearest shelters. Next, secure your home. If you don't have storm shutters, get them, or stock up on enough plywood to cover all windows and doors. Then get a battery-powered radio, flashlights, and if you plan on staying home, get large water containers. These are just a few of the important steps you should take in preparation for the hurricane season. When a hurricane watch is issued, stock up on the batteries you need, tune into the Weather Channel and other media outlets, fuel up the car, board up your windows, and secure lawn furniture. If you plan on riding out the storm, stock up on canned goods and fill large drinking water containers. When a hurricane warning is issued, if you're staying home, board up doors, move valuables to upper floors, bring in pets, stay indoors, and watch the Weather Channel and other media outlets. If you're evacuating, leave early in the day. Shut off water and electricity. Take important papers. Lock up and drive safely to the nearest shelter.
Here at the Weather Channel, we're lucky to have one of the world's foremost authorities on hurricanes, John Hope. John was a member of the first team of forecasters at the National Hurricane Center in Coral Gables, Florida. We now take a look back on the career of our own John Hope.
John Hope is the Weather Channel's hurricane specialist. He's been at the network since day one, but his contributions to the weather community started some 4 decades earlier. John served in the South Pacific during World War II, which sparked his interest in the forces of tropical storms. After the war, weather was his main focus at the University of Chicago and at the U.S. Weather Bureau in Memphis. But his career in tropical meteorology didn't take off until the early 60s. John helped NASA launch their manned spaceflight program, forecasting the liftoff conditions for the Mercury, Gemini, and Apollo programs.
There was a lot of excitement and interest around the country at that time. We were getting ready to finally, in the late 60s, put a man on the moon, so this was a very important forecast assignment.
In 1967, John's career path changed again when the National Hurricane Center established its national headquarters in Miami.
5 hurricane forecasters were selected to staff that initial office, and John Hope and I had the privilege of being 2 of the 5.
Hurricane Camille was the group's first big test.
Satellites were pretty new then, and we didn't know quite as much about being able to assess how strong a hurricane was by an analysis of satellite pictures we know today.
The National Hurricane Center continued to advance the science of hurricane forecasting with each passing year. John Hope was due to retire from a long and successful career in 1982, but there were new opportunities on the horizon.
We have a tropical storm that's actually
being one of the Weather Channel's first on-air meteorologists was a fresh challenge.
Here it is on
And when hurricane season came around, he was the voice of experience.
Right now, we're looking at the most powerful hurricane to strike the Georgia, South Carolina area this century.
John has been recognized by many organizations for his contributions. But perhaps his greatest accomplishment has been helping others understand and prepare for hurricanes.
Well, I think that education is very important because unless you've experienced a hurricane yourself, you don't really know what it's all about.
As you saw in that last report, Hurricane Camille was the National Hurricane Center's first big test. Camille was one of the strongest ever. Charlie Welsh tells us in this report that Camille also brought many surprises.
On Sunday, August 17, 1969, 180-mile-per-hour winds and an unprecedented tidal surge pushed over the Mississippi shoreline. Camille was the most powerful hurricane to hit the United States coast during the last 50 years. Hurricane Camille destroyed $1 billion worth of coastal property. 141 people died along the coast. Most drowned in a flood of seawater caused by Camille's record 24.5-foot storm surge.
Camille gave us a very good example of just what a storm surge could do.
9 out of 10 people who die in hurricanes are killed by storm surge. As a hurricane approaches the coast, its winds drive water shoreward. Once the edge of the storm reaches the shallow waters of the continental shelf, winds of over 100 miles an hour dam the flow of water, forcing it onto the shore. At first, the water level climbs slowly. As the eye approaches, water rises rapidly. Tons of moving water hammer away at structures built on the coastline.
We think of water perhaps as not being as hard as it is. And so when it hits against an object, it's very much like being hit with a solid object. You could think maybe a train wreck or an automobile accident, just tremendous collision there.
25 residents of the 3-story Richelieu apartment complex in Pass Christian thought they were safe from the storm and refused to evacuate. They threw a party in Camille's honor. When the storm surge came, it took the Richelieu apartment complex with it. Mary Ann Gerlach was one of 2 survivors.
The water came in the back and busted out the back windows. And I swam out, and as I was looking back where the building was, you could see the apartment where the hurricane party was going on. They had the hurricane lamps, and all of a sudden, the building just started coming down till it came underneath the water, and I knew everybody had drowned.
The 1995 hurricane season will go down in history as one of the most active seasons on record. Early on, hurricane expert William Gray predicted the season would be busy.
The probability of a more active year this year is definitely there. The global signals are there.
In fact, the 1995 hurricane season turned out to be the busiest in more than 60 years. In an average season, there are 10 storms. In 95, however, there were 19 named storms, 11 of which became hurricanes. The biggest events in 1995 were Hurricanes Erin, Luis, Marilyn, and Opal. Erin, a Category 1 hurricane, made landfall twice in Florida. First, during the early morning hours of August 2nd near Vero Beach on Florida's east coast. Trees were downed and there were widespread power outages. The storm weakened as it moved west-northwestward across the state into the Gulf of Mexico. But Erin regained hurricane strength the next day, making landfall the second time over Pensacola on August 3rd. In Navarre Beach, a third of the buildings sustained major damage. Hurricanes Luis and Marilyn caused the most damage to the Caribbean islands in 1995.
Luis was a very powerful hurricane. It was a Category 4 hurricane, and it really devastated a lot of the Leeward Islands, Anguilla, Antigua, St. Martin's. Maryland came through a week after Luis, a little bit farther west, and the main impact of Maryland in the Caribbean was actually on the U.S. Virgin Islands. St. Thomas in particular was very, very hard hit.
Combined, these hurricanes are blamed for at least 24 deaths and more than $4 billion damage. Hurricane Opal struck the Florida Panhandle on October 4th as a Category 3 storm after weakening from being nearly a Category 5.
This is the damage left by the strongest storm to hit the United States mainland in 1995. Homes, condos, hotels, and beaches took a beating. Dr. and Mrs. Max Williams of Pensacola, Florida, found their beachfront home ripped apart by Opal's powerful storm surge.
Can't believe it. Max, can we get in there and see if my ring is in there?
With total damage estimates close to $3 billion, Opal became the third costliest storm to hit the U.S., behind Andrew and Hugo. I'm Charlie Welsh for the Weather Channel.
Coming up on the next Weather Extra. Hurricanes. They endanger lives and cause millions of dollars in damage.
And all of a sudden, the building just started coming down.
Learn what meteorologists have discovered about hurricanes today that can save lives tomorrow. Find out how meteorologists track and measure a hurricane to determine its coordinates for disaster. Learn amazing things about weather. Watch Weather Extra on the Weather Channel.
The Business Traveler's Forecast is sponsored by Kinko's, the new way to office.
Today, I'm going to meetings in Paris, Prague, and Toledo without leaving my chair. The world is evolving and connecting at the same time. You don't even need an office. If you can think it, you can go do it in absolute full digital color. There are more ideas inside of Kinko's today than in any office space in America. Sometimes I go just to be with people.
Hi, Howard.
Every day, over 200,000 businesses use Kinko's, the new way to office.
For a Kinko's location near you, call 1-800-2-KINKO's.
There are many ways to achieve success. Of course, working hard is number one. Next is be careful how you spend your money. Spend it wisely. I've seen the rewards of this way of thinking. When I need an extra car, I still call Rent-A-Wreck. I drive quality cars. I just don't spend a lot of money. They'll even pick you up. Don't let the name fool you. Try.
Thank you. You know what to do.
That's your true choice, AT&T.
This is your local forecast, and stay tuned. The national outlook is just ahead in our 5-day planner. Weather Channel. No place on Earth has better weather.
Indiana down to about the Boot Heel, Missouri could see 1 to 2 inches. There's your coolest of air. Very delightful air again tomorrow in the northwest.
Lassie, time to take your HeartGuard 30 Plus.
All across America, Lassie and veterinarians have teamed up to spread the word about HeartGuard 30 Plus chewables and the importance of regular veterinary checkups for your dog.
Here, girl. Good girl. Time to take your HeartGuard 30 Plus chewable, made with real beef.
Make sure your dog routinely sees your veterinarian and ask about HeartGuard 30 Plus. Tell them Lassie sent you.
Contact a veterinarian for more information on HeartGuard 30 brand products.
Get a concise 4-day outlook that includes the forecast highs, lows, and weather conditions for the top 15 business cities across America. The Business Traveler's Forecast every day on the Weather Channel. Now your local forecast, and stay tuned. A comprehensive report on national weather is just ahead on WeatherScope.
Wise, what's going on back in the States, and unfortunately lightning has been a big problem in Florida so far this year. We have heard of a couple of people killed yesterday along with 6 others. We're in Dallas now with rain, and folks, look at these diehards out there. It's almost like the weather, the mailman theory. Rain, wind, snow, hail. I'm out there doing what I got to do. Be careful though, roads get slick as you know when they get wet, and this guy with this Intrepid surely found that out. Nice looking car too. Let's go ahead and check things out in Dallas right now. There are some showers around. Mainly south of the city, east of the city, north, kind of around the Metroplex, but there is the possibility of a few of these developing today, so we'll keep an eye on it for you, even though the same parameters aren't as intense as they were yesterday for creating some heavier rainfall. Keep an eye out. One could pop up in your neck of the woods. Up to the north, some heavier rain in northwest Arkansas, some more storms lining up from southern Illinois down through west central Kentucky. And then north of the warm front, not much rain, just a general overcast in Chicago. But we do have this upper level low, which is kind of lifting off to the north, and we think in time it'll actually help to bring the warm, moist air up into Chicago. But look where the heavy convection is. It's in the tropical air, and that lies right in here. And that's where you're seeing the storms fire up. That's where the heavy downpours are. Water vapor imagery gives us a good idea of where the moisture channel is coming from, and you can look all the way down into the Gulf here. Holy cow! Did you see that? Oh man, that's what you call a bad picture, and I mean a real bad picture in through here. Whoa. Anyway, I was going to show you the upper low centered over southeastern Iowa. Now I'll just show it to you on the radar. You can see it spinning on the vapor imagery. It came all the way around and wrapped into the center of low pressure. But look at this. A couple of bands of heavy rain and then even some thunder mixed in heading for Dubuque. Cedar Rapids has already got some pretty heavy rain. So if you're heading out, get ready because it's going to come down pretty heavily. Notice though as we head over to Chicago, not much. Kind of in this cooler air here. And then we get on the other side of the warm front. Heavy showers and thunderstorms developing, and they're pulling on off to the north. So the warm, moist air is coming farther to the north. We take you right around Nash Vegas. Look at that, a shower right over downtown Nashville. North Chattanooga, some storms. Looks like some storms trying to develop around Atlanta. Oh, it's hot outside. And then along the Mississippi River, showers and thunderstorms as well. So this is all tropical air, and it's really hot. So all the deep moisture's building in. Same thing out west, but some cooler air too. With more details on that, here's Jeanetta.
Well, in the west, cool conditions are returning to Washington and Oregon, plus some relief from the heat is in the works for parts of California. Slightly higher humidity and lower temperatures are helping in the battle against wildfires in Northern California. However, that help is countered by erratic winds and the steep terrain that firefighters have to climb to tackle the flames. Evacuations have been advised southeast of Sacramento as fires move closer, and backup support is coming in from Alaska and Puerto Rico as the fires continue to rage in as many as 9 western states now. So it is quite rampant, and unfortunately we don't have a whole lot of precipitation in the offing to help out with some of those firefighting efforts. What we do have is a frontal boundary that is extending through Wyoming into the Dakotas, kicking up a few scattered showers, nothing too severe at this point. But we may see some strong thunderstorms a little later on this afternoon. See the rain from Butte to Havre and on into Sheridan, Wyoming. A little bit of scattered shower activity for the Black Hills, but nothing heavy, nothing severe at this point. Here's the frontal boundary. no relief for California or even Nevada as far as rain is concerned. Monsoonal flow obviously in place, and that means some scattered showers for you across the southwest and into parts of Colorado. Temperatures, check it out, a lot cooler for you in Washington State and Oregon than it has been, and enjoy that while you can because the heat will be back a little later. We'll explain as we tell you about the forecast. Well, the heat index is awfully high. It feels like 97 in Oklahoma City. Feels like 100 at this time in Tampa, but some relief for you in California, you better believe it. Finally, yesterday we saw a 91-degree reading in Sacramento. If we can go back to the map, we'll show you what we're talking about. There it is, 91, and that finally broke the heat string of 100-degree temperatures, 9 days in a row. I know you were glad to see that 91-degree reading. Now with a look at the tropics, we turn things over to Jim.
All right, let's go ahead and check things out for you as we head south of Jamaica. We've had some squally weather at Kingston. At one point earlier this morning, they had a gust of 41 miles an hour here. But what we have yet to find from the numerous ships that are out through here, as well as the reporting stations at Kingston, is a west wind. We have a ton of easterly winds with our wave here, but we do not have a west wind, which gives us an indication that we do not have a closed circulation at this point in time. But thunderstorms are concentrating in more of the same area than they have been earlier on, so that's of concern to us, as well as the upper level features. Remember, tropical development is twofold. You got to have the low level stuff and the upper level stuff, and we do have ridging aloft here, and this area is expected to remain favorable for development over the next 24 to 48 hours. So we'll see if something goes on. There is a tentative schedule for hurricane under aircraft tomorrow around 2 o'clock in the afternoon. Obviously, we'll keep you posted. Jeanetta.
All right, let's talk about tomorrow, Monday. Back to work, and wouldn't you know it, we have this frontal boundary that's going to be working on into Minnesota and Iowa. Look at Chicago, chance for rain in there, and we also have that chance for rain throughout the Ohio Valley. Southeast looking at a shot at some scattered showers tomorrow afternoon, but high pressure will be ridging in for folks in the Northeast, and so temperatures are going to be on the upswing. That's right, it's going to feel a lot more like summertime than it has been lately because we are changing the weather pattern slightly. But it's not going to last long, so you will have some heat, but you won't have to endure it for a long streak. How about that? Temperatures are going to be awfully chilly across the Northwest, especially in the Cascades. If you're doing some backpacking or camping, you'll want to pack the blanket and the jacket, certainly. High temperatures reaching only into the 50s for the Cascades. It's still going to be hot across the Southwest, and we're still talking 90-degree weather across the Southeast. Now, that's Monday. Into Tuesday, we see the 80s and 90s building northward into the Ohio Valley. We're looking at some heat, folks. Get ready for it. It hasn't been this hot for a while in the Northeast corridor. And so you're going to have to get that air conditioner cranking, that kind of thing. Temperatures on the rise, though, by Thursday in the Pacific Northwest. So like I said, I hope you enjoy this little break while you can. 90s in there in Oklahoma City and Little Rock, Arkansas. Dallas stays hot. No relief for you guys. Same story in Houston. However, look at Friday. The cooler air is back in place across the Northeast as the trough is swinging back into the picture. The ridge goes back into the west. Okay, Tuesday, chance for scattered showers into Chicago and Detroit and Green Bay. Only isolated thunderstorms across the Southeast. It will stay hot and muggy, and it looks like it's going to stay that way right on through Wednesday. The little system sort of wimps out as we move through Wednesday, but the next one comes in and really does create quite a trough here across the Great Lakes, and we could see some strong, maybe even intense thunderstorms by Thursday into Friday. Eventually, this will cut the trough back into the east, so we're going to see more wet weather and also some cooler temperatures moving back into the Northeast. And like I said, it will be hot, but it won't last very long for you folks in the Northeast who haven't really experienced a summer yet.
No, the pattern of what you just spoke of, you know, the cooler air coming back has been the pattern of choice this year. So get ready for it again.
Yeah, stay with us. Coming up, we've got a look at international weather, and then you're going to check on the tropics, right?
We'll check on it with more details for you coming up.
After yesterday's workout, Carol Walters woke up a little sore, but she already promised Pete they'd go for their run. So she took a Motrin IB, the same Motrin doctors have prescribed for aches and pains for years, but in non-prescription strength. And Motrin IB works better than extra strength Tylenol. So now Carol's ready.
Let's go, Pete.
Pete's been ready for a while. Motrin IB, the strength of Motrin when your body needs it most.
This is your local forecast. Information you can plan on, because now we show it on the 8s of every hour. Local on the 8s on the Weather Channel.